As mixed martial arts became a worldwide global sport, each athlete was given his or her very own platform, and they all spoke very loudly. Tito Ortiz.
I'm here to take everybody out.
Jorge Masvidal. Ronda Rousey. And, of course, Conor McGregor.
You'll do nothing. You'll do f***ing nothing. Not one of you'll do nothing. Get the f*** out of here.
Very seldom does a fighter reach fame and notoriety in complete silence. Then there was Cain Velasquez. With pure wrestling skills, a ferocious attack, knockout power, and as a heavyweight, a not-so-massive frame, Cain Velasquez was a terror and then became UFC heavyweight champion.
Cain Velasquez!
Welcome to MMA Junkies Legend to Legend, Rolling with Burt Watson.
We on deck, baby. Time to go to work. I'm coming back. We rollin'! Yeah! All night long, baby.
Big Daddy Cain, how are you, sir?
Doing well, Burt. Thank you for having me on.
Oh, the pleasure, absolute pleasure is mine, man. You know, we've had times that I'd like to welcome you to MMA Junkies, Legends to Legend with Burt Watson, rolling, baby. You know, we've had times that we've had conversations, but for the most part, they were all event related. On this platform, we get to have conversation, kind of OG chatter, baby. I'll ask you questions if you feel like you want to ask me a question. I'm all for that. But for the most part, we're going to talk about your career and what a career it was, baby. You had an awesome high school wrestling career, winning 5A Arizona Wrestling Championship twice. At Iowa Central Community College, you won the national championship. You are a two-time All-American NCAA wrestler at Arizona State College, along with Ryan Bader and C.B. Dalloway. After college, you joined the American Kickboxing Academy. You had 17 pro fights, baby. In 2006, you made your pro debut at Strikeforce. In 2008, you made your UFC debut at UFC 83 by knockout. In 2010, at UFC 121, you won your first heavyweight title by a first-round knockout of Brock Lesnar, and also earned KO of the night. And you fought at Strikeforce, Bulldog Fight, and the UFC. Now put all that together in one little bundle and kind of give us the 411 on how you started your career, sir.
Well, how I started my career? Well, I guess it started from the beginning. I guess my earliest memories as a kid, I'd watch a lot of Bruce Lee movies, some karate movies, kung fu movies. And I remember like my earliest days of, you know, I'd always have a stick of some sort, and I'd be like stick fighting. I don't know, I was very interested in mixed martial arts in some way. So I got to junior highs when I first started wrestling, and loved it from the beginning. That carried me on to high school. In high school, I started wrestling a lot of, you know, a lot of places throughout the nation. So I got to see a lot of competition, and I kind of knew where I was in wrestling. I knew that I wanted to carry wrestling into college. And then after my time at JC was done, I went back to Arizona. Went to Arizona State. Finished out my career there, and while I was there at Arizona State, I guess fighting was just getting pretty popular at that time, where a lot of guys were talking about fighting, and I don't know, something just stuck in me that I wanted to continue wrestling, but I also wanted to learn the martial arts stuff that I loved as a kid. So I got the chance to come out to San Jose as I was still at Arizona State, and I trained here for about 2 days and liked it right away. So when I graduated from Arizona State, I just packed up all myself in my car and came out here and started training. Obviously, at that time, I didn't know anything about MMA, but I knew that I wanted to continue this, so I did.
During your reign, most of the heavyweights were kind of a larger frame than you. Was that ever an advantage or a disadvantage for you?
Oh, I would say both. It's kind of a thing that you just kind of make do with what you have. You make the best out of it. I was really comfortable though, like fighting and wrestling with guys that were much bigger, because in college the weight limit is 285, and I was probably wrestling around 245, 250. So I was always somewhat undersized, just had to use what I was really good at, and trying to be quicker than the other guys. Obviously, with the striking, it really doesn't take much power to knock somebody out.
At UFC 110 in 2010 against Antonio Nogueira, you were actually the underdog because they said you were lacking striking power.
Yes.
But you won by a first-round knockout.
May not want to mess with the jiu-jitsu of Nogueira, especially if the stand-up continues to go well for him.
Yeah, I think the game plan in this fight is probably to keep it on the feet. Oh, nice knee. Excellent combination. Cain Velasquez is putting on a stand-up clinic here, Mike.
And might it be a matter of just getting to the punch first? Because great explosiveness, good combination, quick shot to the body a moment ago by Velasquez.
Well, Velasquez stays calm, and like I said, the techniques flow. He doesn't wind up. Here's a case in point. Vanderlei Silva. The way Vanderlei throws his punches, very wide, and arm punches and haymakers. Velasquez, on the other hand, tight and technical, very short, crisp. Oh, look at that combo.
Nogueira's down. Velasquez looking to finish. It is all over.
Wow.
Cain Velasquez has knocked out Minotauro Nogueira.
Wow.
Unbelievable.
Wow.
Naturally, I didn't have the strong punching power. Like, I didn't. There's some guys out there that start and they have a strong punch just off the bat, and that wasn't me. So I really had to learn on sitting down on my punches, letting my hips and feet do the majority of the work. And I took a lot of criticism, especially in the beginning. I took a lot of criticism in the beginning of people call it like nicknames, right? Like pillow hands, like I can't crack an egg, like all that stuff. I really did, man. For me, what it was just really sitting down on everything that I did. Sitting down on the punches, letting the strikes really come from the feet, from the hips.
Right.
And it was almost more of like taking my time, like not really rushing the punch. Like I would like try to rush the punch, try to get the takedown. Well, then the quality of the punch wasn't there. So really took my time sitting down and like letting someone absorb my hips, my shoulder, everything. And then when I started doing that and just really sitting down, like really bending my knees, then stuff started really happening. I started getting those clean knockouts. I started to understand how to use your power effectively everywhere.
You remind me of a guy that I worked with back in the day, a guy by the name of Smoking Joe Frazier, that used basically the same technique. He was short in stature, but he learned how to throw those punches, and he learned the leverage. And the same thing with the guy by the name of Mike Tyson, how to throw those punches and the leverage. After Little Nom, you won the challenge for a title shot against Brock Lesnar. Again, that was among your knockouts, one of the best knockouts you ever had. You actually knocked Brock Lesnar out in the first round. Can you tell us a little bit about that, the build up to that championship fight and that fight against Brock Lesnar?
Yeah, man, the build-up was big. Obviously, like Brock was a guy that was just very, very tough to deal with, man. It looked like he was just very unstoppable with the size of guy that he is, the athlete he is, how good of a wrestler he is, how strong and powerful he is. So the buildup was obviously, I felt like it was huge, you know, as far as like at the time for a heavyweight fight. I think a lot of people obviously didn't give me the time of day for that fight. Just people, you know, would look at the size. I feel like I just picked up the power stuff, the fight or 2 fights before that. So it was all brand new. I obviously hadn't shown a lot of people a lot of things. A lot of people around me even were a little terrified for me, you know, going into that fight. DC would tell me certain things, you know, like he didn't tell me then, but he told me afterwards how scared he was for me and all that. It was just one of those things where I knew it was just me, like I had to do it, like, and I didn't like. It was one of those things where I had to learn, like, it doesn't matter what people think around me. Only I can know, and that's okay. So obviously going into that fight, man, I was just like, I knew where I was comfortable at. I knew that if he took me down, and he wasn't going to take me down, it wasn't a thought of like when, it wasn't a thought of like how. It was like when is he going to take me down? And he did over and over again, and I knew I would be able to get up. I practiced that so many times with DC and other great wrestlers, in that camp especially, just to like get taken down, get up, start in the worst position on the ground, get up. I knew that would be the best way of fighting this fight, of beating him, was to eventually do that. So that happened in the fight. Obviously, I wasn't worried about it. So he took me down, got up. Just had to be patient, you know. Just a little patience in the beginning. Like he smashed me up against the fence, and he was so strong. It was like I was stuck on the fence. It was like, I'm not going anywhere. Like I'm staying here until he moves, until he wants to do something. But like I was stuck against the fence. So he took me down, popped back up, and then started letting those hands go a little bit. And that's where he felt very uncomfortable, is when, you know, we trade off on the hands. So that's what happened, man. And I knew that was going to happen leading up to that fight. He was going to just be uncomfortable with the fight, throwing the hands back and forth. And I would just have to be patient, not necessarily throw everything I can at him and try to finish the fight. I would just have to pick good quality shots. So on the ground, I picked good quality shots that did damage, even, you know, elbows, anything that I can get in that was nice and quality. So did that, man, and it all worked out.
He's going to pick his shots, and he's not going to gas himself out.
Lesnar trying to get back up, and he does, but he's exhausted.
He's battered,
and he gets rocked again. Lesnar covering up. Velasquez pouring it on. Hammer fist. 50 seconds.
That's it.
It is all over. Cain Velasquez is the UFC heavyweight champion.
Were you ever intimidated by Brock Lesnar or the atmosphere or the magnitude of that fight?
By the size of him, I mean, I was, you know, there's always a thing, and there's always something in you that's like cautious, aware, that's, you know, even a little scared at times, right? But it's one of those things, especially in a fight, man, it's there's a lot of learning that I don't think people can achieve unless they're there. There's a lot to it. There's a lot of vulnerable things that you go through to really go out there and put it on the line. And I mean that by like having everybody see you at the very top, or having everybody see your downfall, having everybody see where somebody got the better of you, where you're at your lowest point. So we're putting it all out there when we do it, you know. And it's like, what type of mentality are you gonna have when you go out there? Are you gonna be scared to let that fear really eat you up, or are you going to be aware of that fear, but also be in the path and say, hey, I don't care what happens. I'm going to give it my best. I'm going to give everything I can at this dude. Hopefully I get to where I want to get to at the end of this. But in the meantime, I'm going to give him everything I can and try to be the best everywhere that I can. And he's a man like me. I can make this happen.
So from between 2011 and 2013, you fought Junior Dos Santos 3 times. You actually fought him the first time for your belt. You lost, and then you regained your title. Tell us a little bit about those fights with Junior and you going the distance for the first time.
So obviously the first one, was a thing of I feel like I couldn't do what I wanted to do, and that's just what happens. You kind of make the best that you can out of what you have. Things didn't work out the way that I wanted it to. It was just like it was a good learning opportunity to go back to the drawing board, gather some stuff, and almost like find that fire I had for when I fought Brock. So yeah, I just knew this fight against Dos Santos in the rematch. This is how I prepared myself mentally. I knew this was going to be a 5-round fight. That he was not going to be finished. I don't think my jiu-jitsu was good enough to finish him. No matter what, like I hit him or anything, like I know he was going to stay in that fight. So I just knew I had to keep applying pressure with the takedowns, with the strikes, over and over again. Just really play my game and of looking for the takedown, looking for the fakes of the takedown, going up top, throwing the strikes. So I knew I had to do that, and I knew I had to do it at a high pace for 5 rounds. I did it, man. I did it. I even in the 3rd round coming out, man, I pretty much felt like I was in a faint, like I was gonna lose my body at that moment. But I just talked to myself like in between rounds and just said, you know what, that may happen, but we're gonna keep going until that happens. So I got to really learn, my extremes, right, within myself, in those moments. So it was a lot of good learning through that.
And within those 3 fights, was his style the difference, or was it his size a different factor?
All of it, man. Like, okay, his size, like he was very good conditioned wise. And leading up to this fight, like he would get taken down, but he'd be right up. So he had a good takedown defense, and his hands were heavy hands. So taking him down, I couldn't hold him down. Like it'd be down up. And so we would throw that into it, and then I would feel the power coming from his hands, and it was like, oh, there's a lot behind there. There's a lot behind those hands, and a guy that just mentally wouldn't stop. His heart was so big, he wouldn't stop. Just very, very tough to deal with for me as an opponent.
Looking for a guillotine. Look at this.
Oh, Junior's exhausted.
That's it.
It is all over. Cain Velasquez remains the UFC heavyweight champion. Wow. He stopped Junior Dos Santos in the 5th and final round.
Aside from the normal pressures of being a fighter, was there any added pressure on your part of carrying a nation of hope on your back, and what did that mean to you?
Yeah, I mean, added pressure, but as much pressure as you would want to come in, right? I knew, like, if I dissected it completely, it would be pretty easy as, hey, I'm fighting for me, like, that's it. Like, and I've always fought for me. That's what it has to be. It depends what you're doing it for, you know. And for me, it was always the love of what I'm doing, the love of what I'm learning in this process. I mean, the added pressure was, I guess everyone, you know, was relying on you for a certain outcome as well. But that's not always for certain, you know. And I knew that, but again, for me, it was always just do the best I can, prep the best I can, learn the most that I can during this whole process of something like that, and move on and just kind of continue to get better.
And I noticed when you fought Lesnar, you know, speaking of your heritage, I think your mouthpiece was that the
Yeah.
Mexican flag, that mouthpiece you
Yes.
had in? Tell us about that.
Well, yeah, like for me growing up, watching like Julio Cesar Chavez, um, just all the Mexican boxers, man. For me, I love just that style of fighting. You know how good those guys were, and how the fashion of fighting that they did, walking forward, you know, and like the punches just being, you know, having power and everything that they throw, it hurts, and they're in the mix. They're there in the mix, and it's okay to get grazed a little bit, to get hit a little bit, to trade one. So I wanted to bring that. Like for me, that's the way that I grew up. I grew up with so much love and pride that my lineage came from Mexico, and I was just hoping to bring some of that into MMA. I've always felt that growing up. I've always felt that was a part of me. So for me, I wanted to show that style of fighting. If I, you know, and I knew I wrestled as well, but I wanted everything to be exciting. I wanted everything to be going forward. A lot of strikes going forward. A lot of takedowns going forward. So I kind of wanted to bring that into MMA.
So then in 2016, you fought Travis Brown, and then Francis Ngannou.
Yes.
And then I don't know, but I didn't never, you know, I didn't hear of a formal retirement.
Yes.
But then in 2018, it was reported that you entered the WWE Performance Center and Diamond Dallas Page yoga session.
Yes.
What was that? Tell us about that.
I guess I just tapped something in me from my childhood, you know. And obviously my loved ones and my team were always kind of always trying to expand, you know, certain things for me, and like or for me, like to look at boxing. And for me, I was like, no, I'm good here. Like this is what I want to do. I want to continue to fight. And then, man, I went to a lucha show. I went to a wrestling show once with Daniel Cormier, and I haven't gone to a wrestling show since I was a little kid. You know, I went to one when I was a little kid, and this kind of reignited that, and you know, kind of tiptoed around the thought of doing something like this. And I got the chance to work with AAA Lucha Libre, and man, it was just like, yeah, it was just I guess, you know, checking off the bucket list, but also I had fun doing it, you know.
So now did they approach you or did you approach them?
It was both, you know, like we approached them with the idea of that this is something that I've been wanting to do for a while, and I think it'd be really cool. You know, like my team, my family as well was like, you should do this. And for me, it's like people tell me something, it's more of like I won't maybe see it right away, but I like you planted a seed in me. You planted something for me for it to grow in there, you know. And for some reason, like things kept happening around me that were showing me like, yes, let's try this. So we got in touch with AAA, and it just worked out that, you know, like they were open to the idea as well.
Wow.
We can make something cool happen. And we did, man. And, you know, like, it's funny how people don't see the background of what it all is. Like, going into that first Lucha show, like, I was not prepared at all. Like, the week up, I didn't know what I was doing. I like nothing. I didn't know what I was doing. I didn't have any of the gear that I wore that night. But obviously, I'm promoting and talking about this, right, to everyone. Not until the night before, where
Right.
we go through everything. And I mean, like, I don't even know how to do any of the moves on people. I know what they are, right? But like, I've never done them on anyone. So night before, man, we hit it all, like everything. Like, you like, do this. They give me options of what I want to do.
Right.
And I'm like, man, I want to do some lucha. Like, I'm here to do that. Like show me what to do. And I'm gonna try to do it. And we did, man. Like, it all worked out that night. I got all my gear the night before, Burt. The night before.
Okay.
Finally, it all just kind of came together out of nowhere. We went out the next day. We did it. We did the show. It was great. But
Now,
it's just funny how, yeah.
You did the Lucha Libre AAA Worldwide.
Yes, and then my knee was all torn up too, man, and I still made it happen. You know, I said, "F it, I'm not getting surgery. I'm not missing this." So I had a big old brace on. I did everything I was supposed to do, like things I've never done before, and I did them. So I'm just blessed, man. I'm blessed and happy, you know, by the will of God that it all worked out.
Well, then in October of 2019, you transitioned to WWE, and here comes Brock Lesnar again. Okay, yes. Tell us about that one.
Well, yeah, you know, it's being Brock, man. This is his world, obviously, you know. So me, man, it was just an honor to go out there and battle with him once again. Great opportunity to learn from a bunch of different. It was a whole different world as well, you know. Learning from all these different people. Got to get really close with the great man Rey Mysterio. And you, man, again, it's just blessings, man, because I got to learn from a bunch of different people. I got to go in and do something that I loved, and that was, you know, go out and do some combat. So yeah, Brock and I, man, we got to do it. He got the better me in that one, you know. So it was all good, man. Like, respect to it all. It's amazing, yeah.
Well, that's definitely the best outlook you can have, and I'm going to take it back to the octagon. Other than yourself, the best wrestler.
Best wrestler, you gotta get to my boy DC, Daniel Cormier, man. Dude, we learned so much from each other in the time that we really got to sit down and train. You know, we made each other better. He made my wrestling much better as well. And then going against somebody like him too, man, where I couldn't finish all the wrestling all the time. Like, it made it difficult. So it made me that much cleaner with me doing my entrances, but also when I had his leg or something to chain wrestle from there. Like, it made everything just so much better, so much cleaner. He taught me so much. So yeah, I'd have to give it to DC.
Okay, I'm gonna throw you a little rapid fire here. I'm gonna give you a list of names, and I'm gonna ask you a couple of questions, and you can either go off that list or on that list.
Okay.
But I'm gonna start the list with Czech Congo, Ben Rothwell, Antonio Nogueira, Brock Lesnar, Junior Dos Santos, Antonio Silva, Fabricio Verdun, Travis Brown, and Francis Ngannou. What was your best fight?
My best fight would have to be my rematch with Dos Santos. I would say that's my best fight.
What was your worst fight?
My worst fight would have to be either my first fight with with Dos Santos or the fight with Ngannou. My
Okay.
worst fight. Yep.
How about a fight you didn't want?
Fight that I didn't want?
Yes.
Nah, man, there wasn't. I kept myself very open to every fight. You know, like I just think of it all as a challenge. It's a way to learn. It's a way to better myself. I feel like I got to a point where I couldn't choose, so it's okay. Like I'm in this to test myself, you know. So I would take in whoever.
Was there a fight that you didn't get that maybe you wanted?
Fight that I didn't get. No, I feel like I got the ones that I wanted. You know, I got the big fights. Obviously Brock, Dos Santos. Yeah, I think I got the fights that I wanted. I got the fights that I needed for sure. Yeah, and I felt like even when I didn't necessarily fight with everybody, in training, I got to train with some good people as well, you know?
Are you done? Are you retired? Or is there something else that's kind of out there especially or appealing to you?
As far as fighting goes, man, I love coaching. I love giving back to others, you know, sharing knowledge in that space. It keeps me hungry to share, to give. It helps me to learn more about myself, you know, when I was in somebody else's shoes, or even if I wasn't in somebody else's shoes, like I get to learn from that, but I get to still somehow teach to different types of people. So as far as coaching, that number one, and then just you know, just helping the collective in any way that I can, you know.
Well, in terms of sharing and giving back or giving to, you have definitely shared a lot with us, and we've enjoyed and appreciate. I know I've got a personal place in there. You know, we've got nothing but history, and you giving us nothing but history, man.
Thank you,
And
bro. Yeah.
I totally appreciate it. We appreciate you coming here on MMA Junkie Legend to Legends, rolling with Burt Watson. Is there anything you'd like to say to the fans out there?
The fans out there, no, man, just thank you, you know, for the time. Thank you to everyone who's always been there for me, and amazing. And with you, Burt, man, I remember the first time we met. Dude. I remember we started off on a little rocky foot, you know. It was like a little rocky. I remember it was like you wanted me somewhere in the morning to weigh in, and I'm like, why does anybody want to check my weight? Like, I'm not even there, you know. And it was like, and I could see the tension between us, man. And then I was like, okay, if this man wants this, I'm gonna give that to him.
Yes,
and dude, as soon as I did, Burt, it was like we're good, like we are good. And ever since then, I was like, okay, like I learned that, you know, I learned that lesson right away. Like, so I appreciate you being there, Burt, being there, part of each other's path, man. You obviously great memories. Being called out to go out and fight, and hearing your energy to call us out that it's go time, and we, you know, we're rolling, baby. Like, I remember that forever, dude. So I thank you for that.
Well, I appreciate that, man. It's definitely, and you know where that comes from. Appreciate your time, baby. And believe me, as I said, you have definitely made yourself a living legend. And we appreciate you, baby. Thanks a lot, Cain. Appreciate you, baby.
Thank you.
All night long, baby.